124, Facebook UTV 124, Instagram UTV 124, Twitch UTV 124, TikTok UTV_124, and Flow TV channel 124. Remember, UTV TV for you.
I can't
It is Friday, August 20th, 2021. Welcome to the show. It is an absolute pleasure, as always, having you guys here and discussing so many of the different things that we need to. I know we're heading on into the weekend, and we have some new developments now that we have to adhere to going in, and I don't think it's surprising for anyone seeing what we've been going through. But there's so much that we have to dismantle, dissect, really delve into to understand what exactly is going on. Good morning to those of you listening to us on our radio station partner, that is Hits FM 92.1 and 91.1. Also, if you're watching us on television on channel 124 on Flow, we are always appreciative of that. You're watching us on underground television, and of course on the different social media platforms where we stream every day from 11 a.m. on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Nepot to Nula. And yeah, so we are going, bear with me please, Papa Shea, don't get angry too quickly. We need to delve into what happened yesterday, and we didn't get much time to do so, but I think right now we need to. So let's continue where we left off.
Understand the government's the plan to educate at this point in time. But given the trend in the rising cases, where for the past couple of days we've had at least 100 cases, is now the time to educate while the cases are rising, or is there not a need to clamp down and while we're doing that to simultaneously educate then? But if we still have people, like you said, at masquerade events in the north and the south, wherever, and we're trying to educate those people who are flouting the protocols, do you think that's going to work? Do we have that much trust in, the conscience of our citizens?
Well, the short answer to that is I do have trust in people. I do have trust, and from my personal experience, I can tell you, I do have trust in people. What I want to say to you is that we are not doctors. The Minister of Health, nor myself, we nothing near being doctors. We are guided by the science, and we are guided by the advice of the medical people. We are working, and we will continue to work closely with the Solution Mental and Dental Association. There is no conflict as existed before between that body and the government. We are speaking to everybody. We're speaking to the doctors, and most of all, we are speaking to the social workers. We are speaking to the people who know what's happening in people's minds. Because there's we speak about, we as a government, we do not want to say things glibly. We want to be guided by information and guided by the science. And each one of us must take responsibility in encouraging our friends, our relatives to wear their masks. That's not only a job of the police. We can, and I'm sure the minister will tell you, when school reopens, we're going to put the education at the schools so children can advise their parents to wear masks and get vaccinated. And I must also say something finally, that the measures we've put in place have not been there for 14 days as yet. These measures, it's going to be 7 days on Saturday?
Friday.
On Friday. These measures have not been placed. So I'm very concerned, but let us be guided by the science. Let us be guided by the advice of the people who know, and let us not get involved in unnecessary panic that's not driven by science.
Okay, this is the second time for the year that we are over 1,000 active cases. The first time was back in February. And that is what I believe prompted the 7 p.m. curfew, the reinstitution of the state of emergency, a ban on liquor sales and things of the sort. Very rigid measures as compared to what's happening now. And we did see the number of active cases drop to double digits at some point. Why not follow what seemed to have worked back in February?
We have been driven by the science. When the science advises, we will do.
It's okay. So I know it's not you making unilateral decisions, and it is a more technical team providing guidance and advice to the command center for final decisions to be made. Is the science any different?
We're going to be driven by the science. When the science advises us, we're going to do exactly what the science says.
Okay, so just for my clarity purposes as a citizen, not even a journalist at this point, as a citizen, what exactly is the science telling us?
Exactly what we did.
Okay.
But we also have to note, Ms. Shalmine, that every body which is being consulted, so for instance, the executive of the SLMDA met last night, and they have called a general meeting of their membership today. So we don't want to leave anyone out. We would have hoped that some more alacrity would have been in place in terms of people meeting and giving in their proposals, but that has not happened. And I think, the cases and the testing, and we're very encouraged by that people are being tested, is happening very rapidly. So once all these bodies, because we have the Minibus Association, we have the SLMDA, we have our command center, everyone is meeting and ongoing right now. Once we have all that information, I do believe that if the protocols need to be adjusted, they will. But right now, the protocols which are in place were a guide based on the information available for the past 14 days. And if it has to be changed, I am sure that the Prime Minister will take the directive from the command center as advised.
Okay, my final question, we are still under a state of emergency, something that when in opposition, the St. Lucia Labour Party opposed vehemently. I believe we are until sometime next month. Any plans to extend the state of emergency?
We're going to, again, we're not looking into the future. We'll do what is necessary to stem the rising tide of COVID.
Yep. So, unless you're living under a rock somewhere, that has been the major issue coming out of that press conference. And there are so many different things that we have to look into with regards to what came out of that. And for some who somehow, I think in their mind, they smell blood, they're coming out now with all different sort of things to say. Many people did come out. We saw it on Facebook and other things. And of course, you get the people, say, Munaka by Sab, people like Norbert Williams, the PRO of the United Workers' Party. Of course, he has something to say about that coming out of that press conference. Everybody has something to say. And we could tell there was an awkwardness about that press conference. But if you let different people say it, they will try to say different things. And there's a sophistry, of course, in all of that when people, they're not outright lying, but they'll say certain things and pretend it's the absolute truth when it's not. So the people who are well versed in that, they have done that for the past 5 years. Clearly, it didn't work much because it didn't work for them to remain in government. But they stick to what they know, and Norbert Williams clearly is doing just that. So let's listen to what he had to say.
The meeting now to answer questions that they don't have answers to yet because they haven't gone to the meeting with the stakeholders and done everything yet. So the meeting to the information to the public is not informed by enough information yet because they haven't met the stakeholders and the people who need to give them feedback. Wow. Now you're telling me you're guided by the science. Champion, we've been here almost 2 years already. You see the press conferences all over the world, in the US, in the UK, in the region, in Trinidad, in Barbados, everywhere. All the islands that they like to quote before, Barbados and Antigua and everything.
And their numbers.
The Minister of Health and the Prime Minister are not science professionals. They make the policies, they do all of that. But if you're going to be guided by the science, is not science out of the sky. You have to be guided by the science from somebody who is versed and qualified in the science.
Yes.
Where is the authoritative voice at that press conference, the CMO, for these questions to be answered? Where is she? I noticed conspicuously the CMO is not appearing at any of those functions, at those press conferences. Why is that? Is she not the authoritative voice on the science? But if you're guided by the science, why is the science not there
present,
to give the information to the people?
Yeah.
Because people are going to say, well, the CMO knows what she's talking about and everything, but the science is not there. So where are they getting the science from? Is it voodoo science?
Well, 2 scientists were there. There are 2 scientists.
Because let me tell you something, Champagne. At this point, in this whole global pandemic, this COVID-19 pandemic, we all know, you ain't no expert again, huh? Hand sanitizing, social distancing, wearing your mask.
Be vaccinated.
And we see, and this thing about, and be vaccinated, that's it. And this thing about persuasion, moral suasion or whatever, that is absolute and abject nonsense. Because yes, here's what I wanted to say from the get-go. One of the first things into the press conference this morning, Moses Jean-Baptiste is saying that they're very concerned that they've noticed people have had a number of mass gatherings or crowds around the island. Brother man,
so what are you doing?
You that the persuasion you're trying to have on people is not working. We all know what happens at Pigeon Point every weekend with
Sunday.
all the measures that were in place. You're telling me after you see all of this that the logical thing you see to do is to relax the pressure and tell me that you're going to try to persuade people, but the people have shown you already that they're not going to be persuaded.
That's
the
true.
fact is that, Champagne, and any police officer can tell you that's policing 101. The reason why we have laws and regulations all throughout the world in every society is because people do not police themselves. They have to be held to account. That is the accountability. You tell me when you take out the accountability now that people are going to be more inclined now to observe the protocols. Does this make any sense? Look at St. Lucia. You have millions of dollars in unpaid traffic tickets. You tell me you're going to go to a traffic system, a ticketing system, make it a misdemeanor, and ticket people, and anybody is going to... People, when they were going to get a criminal record that could affect them getting a visa to go to the US or travel, did not care. You think when you're going to move it to a fine, it's going to make them care anymore? I mean, come on, where's the reasoning? I don't understand this. This makes absolutely no sense. It makes no sense.
So let me ask you, what was said this morning in your views to safeguard the people of St. Lucia?
Champagne, nothing. There was no conclusive action. There was no confidence building. There was nothing in there for me. I was hoping to get something. There was nothing. It's basically, well, we don't really have anything to say, but we are aware the numbers are going up. And but the video is there. It's online. It's on Facebook, on the Government of St. Lucia Facebook page.
Wow.
I am incredulous. I cannot believe what I'm hearing there with these numbers.
My goodness.
Nothing at all. Nothing to instill any level of confidence. You all spoke so much about the state of emergency last year and before election.
They boycotted it.
It's infringing on people's rights.
Yeah.
You only take it out. In fact, what you all did was bolster the curfew, add 2 hours, started earlier at 9 p.m.
That's all.
What does that suggest to you? You think they don't know that for you to have a curfew, you need to have a state of emergency? What happened then? Champagne?
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now. But you know what? Let me just conclude it. You know what it is?
Yeah.
In my opinion, I do not believe that Philip J. and this current administration don't realize what needs to be done.
No, they don't have a clue.
They are terrified to do what needs to be done, because if you shut down this country, the same thing that Alan Shastner was saying before, but lo and behold, Philip J. continues to repeat it. Lives and livelihoods.
Said it 6 times in his address.
A balance for people to live and also to fight against COVID-19.
Now, of course, in all of that and the sort of righteous indignation that clearly Norbert has perfected, we're hearing, Norbert Williams speak about different issues, which again, it's really not the truth. But although there are some credible things being said, and no, I don't think I would have ever said that, but I do think in all of that, the follow the science is not the issue. It really is, as I said yesterday, the government, the administration, having a press conference without the necessary information, and you will be getting questions and they were not equipped to answer, because there was the CMO and the other professionals having their meeting, the SLMDA, and they said that the transparency was there. They said that it was easily something that should not have happened. It should have been postponed, but they had it anyway, and that is the result of what we're seeing. So I think it's something that the current administration clearly needs to look at, and with about a week or so being in government, being in administration, I don't necessarily imagine that everything will be perfect. I understand that there will be mistakes, and in fact, if you are going to have mistakes, do it early and do it now, and let it be that and do not be corrupt and do all of the things that we've seen in the past administration. But clearly these things should not have happened. Right there, common sense. So on that we agree. However, with all of what is being said there, when Norbert Williams speaks of lives and livelihoods and people that were saying shut down the country, you could try to change history, but the great thing is that you have records of what was being said here. When the Sinusha Labour Party was speaking of closing the country, there was not yet the vaccine, and when they did say shut down, they also said let's open the local economy, if we remember that as well. So people just making these blanket statements and not putting things into perspective, into real context, we need to guard against that as well. So just in case, no, but I know they don't want to hear it, but this is what actually happened.
We believe that there is a necessity for expanded business space in the country. You can't remain stifled and suffocated for too long. You know what would happen in that case. But we need to always put our people first. Guided by the science of what's involved. So yes, we recognize some opening up in the domestic space. Again, we want to stress that there should be adherence to the protocols and to the guidelines. But what is worrying for us is it now for international travel. And this is where it really becomes confusing. We believe in opening up the country. There should be a particular approach. That the first stage and the first objective has to be to open up the local economy in totality. It means ensuring that restaurants, bars, entertainment, sports, shows, sports events, all of those things are encouraged and supported to thrive once again, and even given support to be more active than it was before, to compensate for the drop and the decline in other areas. That our local economy must be given extra impetus to create as much employment as possible and as much economic activity.
So again, these are the things that were said by the SLP while they were in opposition. So no, it's not what Norbert, and I know people might have an issue with, listening to what these people have to say even after an election, but I think with all of the lies and misinformation that they continue to spew, you need to listen to what they're saying. It never ends, it never ends, because they will continue. So saying, why are you playing this or why are you airing this? It's for the same reason why people understand the issues. What got you here and what got the Sinusha Labour Party to get people to believe in what they're saying is what you need to continue to do. So letting people continue to have lies and spewing whatever they're doing on that Sky FM show and letting it go by unnoticed, I don't think that is that's what's going to happen and that's what's going to work. So we continue with all of the things being said. When Norbert Williams speaks about, what's the point of moral persuasion? For you being a house slave, I'm sure you will not understand what it is, because when the person had called you and tell you, how deep is your head up Shas's ass, it's a good question. That person should be a journalist next to Nelsia, because that is a really justified question. And when you have people like that, you guys don't understand what it means when somebody gives you the freedom to think for yourself, the freedom to accept your own responsibility. And I do understand where the Prime Minister is coming off on that. But even when people have tried to keep each other accountable, under the last administration, they were met with ridicule and they were told not to do it and to not make the tourists uncomfortable. And if you don't believe me, this is what it looked like.
Because tourists are coming from epicenters of the virus. We see the UK is in a lockdown. This is our second largest market. Our first largest market now is the epicenter of the virus in the world. And we see that there's a new international wave which is taking shape in the American jurisdiction. And we're hoping that, very soon we'll see some steps to curtail the level of spread that's taking place in our two markets.
Spread love, not the virus. Then no. Yeah, back to the thing. I'm pretty sure that it's tourists and them niggas have no mask on. Hey guys, where you from? Where you from? Huh? Where you from? Florida? Yeah. You staying at the resort?
Yeah, we're on a boat.
You on a boat?
Yeah.
Okay. You're supposed to have your mask on.
Yeah, you too, right?
Yeah, but I'm driving, you're not.
Prime Minister Alan Chasney has appealed to St. Lucians to show some respect.
Tourism, we've shown that even in the midst of this pandemic, that we can have our borders open and we can get people to come here. And here we're an example of two people that followed the proper protocols to come to St. Lucia. And so there has to be a greater level of tolerance and respect to each other.
So that's what it looks like when a citizen of this country will see someone not abiding by the protocol rules. They even have it recorded. And what are you met with? You're met with the Prime Minister saying, don't make the tourists feel uncomfortable. Like Fedi Memtidi, if they go back, it will be a PR disaster for us if you guys keep telling the tourists what to do. Leave the white people alone. Say what they do. And people like Norbert and the people like that who do not understand that a country, a people can come together and keep each other accountable, you won't get it because your mind not there. You cannot compute to pass a grasp, sir. You cannot. But I think that right thinking solutions, and you also have to think too, when you see that it's recorded, the man, C. Dale, is a spokesperson for, the COVID response. He had a whole advert about it. He's not just saying the words for a paycheck. He's telling you, he's showing you that he's doing it, and that is what he is met with. So, no, of course you won't understand where that's coming from. You would prefer to have COVID wardens, people who are United Workers' Party supporters, try to give it an excuse and to give them some money, and beat them up in town. That's what you want. But we continue, and more than that, even the little things that are being said, I'm telling you, I will not let you all go with it. I will not let you all escape with it. And still on Sky FM, and what's his name? Champagne said it too. Philip J. Pierre, he spoke about lives and livelihoods. I think he said it about 10 times. He said about 10 times, and Chasney was the one who came up with it, and now they're taking the phrase for themselves. I mean, in all of what is going on, that's what you'll have to say. But if you don't believe me that these people looking for every little thing, more callers on their shows continue to see the same thing, including this one who spoke yesterday.
Yeah. And something else I realized, Mr. Fede, remember the phrase balancing lives and livelihood?
Yes.
You realize how much they are using that, even some of them using it out of context.
Yeah,
and you remember how harshly they criticize Alan Chasney for making such statements.
Pierre used it in his statement 6 times, I counted, in his address, 6 times.
Champagne really sounds, So anyway, so the lady now come in and say, using lives and livelihoods. You only leave nothing so much, you're looking for a phrase to hold for your loan. Okay, so lives and livelihoods. Let's see. I don't know if people have forgotten, but if you have, let's remember, let's walk down memory lane. This is what Chasney said.
The government has continued to try to work with the population to make sure that we minimize the impact on our economy. Because there's no point in saving people if in fact their livelihoods are being affected. There's no point in saving people if in fact their livelihoods are being affected.
So we have to focus on both. Mm-hmm. Now, what people have tried to suggest that I was saying, there was no point in saving lives if we don't have livelihoods. And I did say that.
So the issue is not that people didn't like the term lives and livelihoods. Your Prime Minister, your former Prime Minister, Sifula Boa, said, what is the point of saving lives and you're not making money? What is the point of that? That was the concern. That was what everybody was up against about. So listening to you guys now, try to change the truth, try to make blanket statements that mean nothing. And like I say, I don't want to be one of them other hacks, one of these hacks at all that will just, toe the line. You have to say where it's wrong, when it could have been better, and if it is our duty, because we want better, we want to see this country fare well. So the conference shouldn't have happened in the way that it was. The questions that were asked, I think they were legitimate questions. It wasn't answered in the way that we wanted because you didn't finish up the meeting with the science experts. So in that case, it's not a big deal in that the country isn't moving well. I think there was a misstep in that, a small one, but then you could see how it could, blossom into something that's a lot bigger. Already in the 10 days that we've seen this new administration, we've spoken about the changes that we've already wanted to see, actually obeying the Constitution and putting in a deputy speaker, actually showing people that democracy matters and getting rid of all the barricades and all of the other things that we're seeing, the sort of togetherness that we're seeing, the different policies, reinstatement of the subvention for the National Trust, all of what we've seen dismantled in the former administration. We're seeing some changes already. So as a people who continue to keep our governments accountable, I believe that that was something that could have been easily handled, but that was a mistake. But as for the other things, please do not come there and pretend that Shasney did any better with COVID, because we remember coming, talking beyond and above the CMO. Nobody had talked to the SLMDA. The SLMDA give you all proposals. You didn't take yours. Shasney called to say the SLMDA were wrong and they were mistaken. And what does he have? I think, honestly, Philip J.P. had the right idea in waiting for the actual professionals, something we haven't seen a Prime Minister do. I think he made a mistake by having that conference without the necessary information. But just in case, because I must have oublié vite, we're going to take a look. We're going to listen to the former Prime Minister who in the last 2 years blamed everybody. There was more division than anything else. We spent about $7 million for vaccines. We haven't seen the vaccines yet. All of these things that we've seen a Prime Minister do. But Timothy Polio asked him for advice on how to deal with this current situation. And I do believe that there is some merit in listening to what he has to say.
Certainly, I can't offer them any advice. They went through this process. They were part of the NEMAC team, and so they would have known what they've inherited. They would have seen the impact of the policies of my government. All I can say is that this is a very difficult balancing act between lives and livelihoods. In the case of lives, the critical number here is to understand that we only have 100 beds available at Victoria. I think we have 6 ICU units at that facility. So when you start getting numbers above a certain level, it becomes problematic. The other thing was we had brought in hotels to play. So when persons were tested positive, they were placed in those hotels in order to make sure that the isolation was taking place. Currently, a lot of the persons who have tested positive are going to remain home, and the expectation is that they're going to voluntarily quarantine themselves. So the number we have to look at is what the limitations at Victoria Hospital are, and that's a critical number. And in terms of livelihoods, the difficulty is if you end up having to implement policies that contract people's movement and activities, it has an immediate impact on the revenue of the state. The fact is, my government, while we were in office, net payroll every single month. We were able to pay the debt, which was $30 million a month, every month. We were able to meet the operating cost of government, which was another $30 million a month. And when COVID was implemented, the cost of COVID facilities, etc., was about $15 million a month. And then we had the bonds that were being redeemed, which was about $15 million a month. And revenue had gone from $110 million in 2019 to an average of $60 million. So this is where it becomes very, very difficult, and it's not one thing that you have to focus on, but you have to focus on multitude things. And I just want to give the government the space. I'm not here to criticize or condemn any of the policies that they've implemented. They have been part and parcel of this since the onset. And we are here to give them whatever support. What I can do is to say to St. Lucians that COVID is real. It does exist. It is very deadly, and particularly for those persons who are vulnerable, persons with high blood pressure, persons with diabetes, anybody with any underlying conditions, elderly persons, all are very, very vulnerable. And therefore, it's imperative that first of all, we have a better solution than we had before, which was just social distancing and wearing your face mask and hand sanitization. We actually have a vaccine. And I want to encourage all St. Lucians, not just for themselves, but also for their family members and for the country at large, that it's important, it's the responsible thing to do to become vaccinated. In the absence of becoming vaccinated, because my government also had that policy that was not something we would make compulsory, but in the absence of being vaccinated, then you have to really work hard in wearing your face mask and social distancing and hand sanitizing to protect yourself and also to protect other people. This is the responsible thing to do. Sadly, if we don't comply with these basic rules, the impact it's going to have on our country is going to be very severe, and in many ways may even be more damaging if we don't take care of ourselves. So I'm just imploring all St. Lucians to please get vaccinated if you can. And now that we have the Pfizer vaccine that's there, we worked very hard with the other leaders of the region, letters to England, letters to Canada, letters to Europe, and also letters to the current President of the United States of America. I'm very happy that the U.S. has agreed, and they worked through CARFA. So CARFA did all of the administrative work. I want to thank the Hotels Association in St. Lucia, who provided resources to build the refrigeration necessary to be able to hold the Pfizer vaccines here at the proper temperature. And I'm glad it's come through, but now the difficult part is to convince people to become vaccinated, and for all St. Lucians to understand the challenge that the world is grappling with. And every time we think that this thing is over, another variant comes up and creates another wave. And so I know that people are suffering from fatigue, but this is why, again, I kept on saying that we need to coexist with COVID. COVID is not going away. This might in fact be our new normal. And so we need to figure out how we can deal with COVID, but at the same time get on with life as much.
So the leader of the opposition, who could not take the time to come to the opening of Parliament, who couldn't take the time to go and talk to his people in Migu South that voted for him, or represent he keeps saying the 30,000 people that voted for the Flubble, will take time off his vacation and send and tell us this. And I have to say, maybe the Prime Ministership wasn't going with you, because you seemed it seemed well composed, no bullets, no nothing. I don't feel that Prime Ministership was going with you, because you spoke so fluently there. So maybe you need to stay where you are. So he is saying that there is no advice, and it's talking like he is an expert and he did so well with COVID and the COVID response, and he says he has no advice to give. And I believe you, and I don't think people want your advice. I mean, if you do want advice on certain things, like, I don't know, how to lose an election, maybe how to disrespect the whole country, maybe how to waste $600 million that they give you for COVID and spend it on whatever. Maybe if you want advice on how to make sure your friends and family and everybody get a bly while you're in office, maybe advice on that. But advice on how to really govern a country with respect and empathy and for its people, we don't want your advice either. I would think, amably, yeah? But in all of that and all of this these words that the Prime Minister has put together very, very well, I might add. You have to give it where it is. You sound good, but you're saying nothing much, but you sound good. We need to remember, too, that in this gaffe that Philip J. Pierre clearly has made, it's not the follow the signs. I think people understand that. I think it is, I think it's good advice to do that, but it was just a result of it not being properly done, a press conference not being properly done. And I can understand that. I can work with a mistake being done early in an administration. What I cannot and will not, and clearly we did not accept, was a Prime Minister who would disrespect an entire country, continue to belittle us in front of everyone. When you're speaking about COVID and how people are treated, you can come there and say all what you're saying, but we will not forget. We will not forget. Close to the end of your term, this is not something that's being done and you don't know and it's a gaffe and oh my God, something happened. No, this shows us completely in these few seconds there, what you said about us with regards to COVID and vaccination. Let's remember what the former Prime Minister really thought of us and how he thought to deal with COVID.
Can I rely on the fact that we're going to all be vaccinated before I have to call elections? We've been saying to the companies we've been speaking to, look, we're small enough that you can use us as a sample and see what the effects are. I have to tell you, tough. You know, India, because of the increased outbreak there, have now stopped any further exports from there. So we're competing against some big countries with huge demands. What we've been putting forward, Fanny, is that we've been saying to the companies we've been speaking to, look, we're small enough that you can use us as a sample to determine what is herd immunity. Is it 50% of your population? Is it 60% of your population? Is it 70% of your population? And because of our size, we can get to where we can get 50% of our population vaccinated very quickly and see what the effects are. So it means it gives other countries the confidence that if they do this, that this would potentially be the result.
Every time I see that, I am reminded how much I had no time for you as Prime Minister, man. When somebody will say that they're going to use a country and its people as guinea pigs and just let them be tested for vaccines and we'll see what the effects are. So the larger countries, depending on what it is, you know, they'll decide whether they're going to keep the vaccine or not. That is what you thought of us. So now when you have your things to say, Mabletani, I don't want to hear it. Because when it was your turn, all you did was disrespect us. You can see somebody watching you and tell you, I don't know what that vaccine is. And then we're talking about what, you know, how people are afraid of the vaccine and the misinformation. It started with you. If people have to listen to, you know, wanting to take a vaccine and you don't know what the effects are, but you have a Prime Minister saying, you know what, let's just try it on them anyway, just to see if we can just do 50%. And what happens, we'll see. And maybe the bigger countries with the money, maybe they'll take it. This didn't start from anywhere. This didn't start where St. Lucians are, you know, scared of things now and they don't believe experts, they don't believe their leaders. Look at what a Prime Minister said about you, about your health, as if you were matter. You're just there to be a lab rat. Yo, we are in a place right now, and yes, we're looking back, but looking forward, we cannot pretend that certain things didn't have some bearing on where we are now. This is what we're doing. So yes, we have to deal with an entire country that, you know, some people are, you know, for vaccinations and others are not. But I'm telling you, and during that administration there, it did not help. So when you're now having somebody say, let's do an education campaign. Last night, I know that there was a consultation. People were asking questions. Dr. King was there and others on a Zoom call. And I heard some of my friends there as well asking questions. Yes, it can almost seem eyeliner. Some people had all kind of crazy theories. But that's the things you need to do. And yes, it's going to be difficult to do, but there is merit in educating people. All you know how to do is make deals, Alan. All you know how to do is make deals and disrespect your people. In fact, we're not your people. We're not in your class. My class. And there are thousands of people too. We don't understand you either. We're not in your class, clearly. But we go back to the issue. Now, with what Pip had said, You know me already, and Lucians too, they like to kick off. So it came with the memes, and we're going to take a look at that too. We're going to take a look at what has happened. It's in our culture, you know, that happens. And I think, hey, you just come in, you have to take the things that come with it. So let's take a look at the couple of images that came out of that press conference and the Follow the Science. I also have to say, you know, even, you know, I'll tell you, my ex messaged me to say, you know, I think I want you back. I think you need to take me back. If you look at the science, that's what it's saying. So people now using that for everything. I woke up this morning and people use it already. Can we get the pictures? So what I'm saying, it's clearly gone viral. It has. This is somebody with a t-shirt already. Y'all quickie. Trust the Science, $60. Wear this after the curfew and no police can arrest you. Let's go to the next one, which is not true, by the way. Not me, the science. I love some of the images that I saw there. At some point, you have to be able to laugh at yourself. Mouth open, science jump out. That was good. And we also saw some other things as well. Even Don Lemon saying COVID doesn't care about politics. We'll only defeat it by pulling together and following the science. I don't know if Pip told him to say that. But yeah, it's right there. And I think my personal favorite. It always says, Peter says, Lord, I can't, and trust the science. I think these are really, really creative ones, and, you know, you just have to deal with it. And with that being said, I also like the response of Philip J. Pierre. Let's look at that. It says here, my statements may not always be popular, but they are truthful in our quest for transparency, open communication, and the best interest of the people of St. Lucia. The government will continue to provide regular updates on our country's affairs. That has been and will continue to be our pledge to you. We are listening. Thank you for your feedback and for the memes. Very creative. And it says there, Philip cares, putting you first. So I know what Olivia Pope that put that up there, but I think it was a really good response to everything going on. And if you're talking about gaffes, Missy, it's going to happen within the couple of 5 years, and mistakes will happen. Things will happen, and you just have to go with it, ride with it. Some people are waiting, say, you can escape by. If they think they smell blood, they're going to try to get it to it. So, you know, you expect that. But if we're going to talk about mistakes being made and people and gaps and whatever and all of the memes being taken, let's not forget, even Shastney was there too, but I would have preferred Pip's own over this one.
What we're looking to do is to do doggy style. What we're looking to do is to do doggy style.
Now, I mean, follow the science or doggy style? Follow the science, I don't know. But, you know, these things do happen clearly in leadership. And we're going to open the lines now, well, in a bit, at 572-7588. But first, there are other things still, because yes, that little thing happened, but you could see there were so many different things happening as a result of it. And for me, the thing that really struck me was, I say so hot, and maybe it loses its meaning, but I am reminded of it when I see Soraya. Let's take a look at what Soraya had to say about Nelsia. Soraya says, powerful young lady, Nelsia Shalmain, journalist, Choice TV. Choice TV, please give this fearless journalist a raise. Paraphrasing journalist Nelsia Shalmain, whatever, as a concerned citizen, would it not be best to shut down the country and during that time and educate the people, thus reducing the spike? She says, well done, Nelsia. She also continued, let's go to the next clip there. She says she loves Nelsia. During the time of Shash, she asked the right questions. And of course, if you have to talk about Sahot's, it would not be complete without Minerva Ward. Minerva says, I don't know this young lady, but I'm impressed by what I saw today. She gave me hope for the state of journalism in St. Lucia. I will definitely be watching her growth and development. Monsieur, I don't know how y'all can do that. I really do not know how people can do that. The lack of shame is a superpower, and I don't know. But when Minerva says she doesn't know Nelsia, this is what she said a couple months ago. Let's take a look at the next thing. She says, poor jab, Nelsia Shalmine works for Choice News. Go check her Twitter account for yourself. And that was when she was bashing Nelsia and saying, oh, she's an SLP and all these sort of things. A couple of months ago when the United Workers' Party was in government there. So you're seeing the flip-flopping. And you can put it down now. But for me, it really does show us that the sick politics of it, that young people doing their job, you know, they'll be labeled, and a lot of people will label you. People like Minerva and Soraya will do that to a reporter, and you know, it was more than just distasteful. For a little bit, I was actually sad, like, you know, how can people do that? I had a headache just trying to figure out how to do that. But this is where we are, and when these things happen, I just want us to know that we do not want to be that. We never want to be that. When the thing is wrong, monsieur, di côté y est. Say it where it is. That's all I have to say on that. Let's open the lines now at 572-7588. We could talk about anything at all that you want to talk about. Yeah, so again, you can call us on WhatsApp and we can have a discussion. And as we wait, we can go through some of the other messages and other things that I saw on social media, and we continue. Let's put up the next image as we await your calls, because these things, it really shows that politics, for some, that's what they live in, that's what they breathe in. They don't care about anything else, and no matter what, just stick to what you know. Now, Nelsia, the reporter there, her mother, I think, and that's interesting too, will go under Soraya's statement where she's praising Nelsia now and say, this is the same person that you called a party hack a few weeks ago when she was questioning former PM. Today she deserves a pay increase because the shoe is on the other foot. It is not today she became a good reporter. Thank you. The girl mother, and I think Nelsia is in her early 20s there, young, really good reporter, I think. And her mother is defending her. Someone do tout moun susceptible bo issue. When y'all were insulting her and, you know, really doing the most against a young person just trying to do their job, now y'all want to claim her. I think it really does show. You can put that down now. I think it really does show where we are and where some people are, and some people have gotten beyond that. Let's take our first call. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Trisha.
Good morning.
Yes, I was just saying that when persons keep repeating why the Prime Minister was saying we trust in the science, or we're going by the science, I guess they just don't understand what he actually meant, although he has explained that before. The thing is, we will be informed by the science, whether it be science or science from here. And it is that we need to hear what the medical personnel are saying. We need to hear what is happening, the epidemiology department, whatever that is, and also with people's behaviors. Because as we can see from what we are being told, this is happening mainly in the north with regards to the spike. So again, it's because of people's social behaviors. Also, what he's being told by his team is what he's being guided by in terms of what actions we should take. And he did make it clear that, you know, the Minister of Health are scientists or doctors, and so they're going based on what they're told by their team. So I don't know why they're making it seem it's something so out of space that he was saying when he's saying he's being led by science. Again, when we hear it from the other people overseas, they speak about being informed by the science. So I really don't understand why people felt that, you know, the PM was going out of sorts by saying he's being led by the science. All I felt was that there was need for at least one or two of these persons from his team that should have been at the press conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Colin. I agree. And I also think, too, you know, that conference could have been postponed to today or at 4 later on in the afternoon or whatever, whenever the meeting with the professionals were done, so you actually had something to say. But, you know, I think it's something where they have to learn. I guess they expected, and because that press conference, it was advertisers coming out, I think 2 days before, so they wanted to not change anything and wanted to stick to their word. Me memsu una bai egu just lie egu pa na ye pu di. What is the point? And that, I think, is a mistake. It's a mistake, and to me, when I look at it, it's not a big deal. But now, you know, if you're going to be memified, you just have to take it. That's what comes with being leader sometimes, you know. Let's take the other call. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. I wish my voice could go that high.
Really? I've been trying to get you for ages. Anyway,
yeah.
I have 3 points I would like to make, nothing related to the topic at hand.
Okay.
One is, I would like to beg or ask or request the parliamentary representatives to send their marketing campaigning team to remove all the flags around the place, the red, the green, the yellow, the blue flags that are still hanging up long after elections. I think it's just defacing the entire place.
Okay.
I mean, there are lots of places that these flags are still hanging up. It's very unsightly. It's like having your Christmas tree in your house
Easter?
or long after Easter and August, summer.
Okay.
So for me, that needs to go.
Okay, understood. I think you have a point there.
Thank you. Secondly, I would like to know the process that someone will have to go through for help for say a common, what's the word? It just eluded me. Support. You know, the support from the government. Okay. So they go through a process of interviewing you for support. And 6 months later, when following up, the names and the information is not on the system. Welfare support, that's it, welfare support. 6 months later, I mean, I requested support for 2 members of my family. And 6 months later, they're telling me that the names are not on the system as yet. Something needs to be done, because if someone needs the support, that means that it's an emergency.
Urgent. Yeah.
So I don't know if it's a shortage of, but they need to rectify it.
Okay.
Thirdly, this is the opportune time for the education system to be revamped. And I would just like to leave it as that, because we're not doing any justice to our students. I would really like to see something like critical thinking, public speaking. Those soft skills are important, but they're not on the curriculum. And I think those things are very important to our students' development. So that is something that needs to be reviewed, the education system. No longer Rose and Andy are here. That needs to go out. And let's do something that makes sense. And that is my contribution this morning.
Thank you very much, caller. I appreciate that. And I think we've all heard your concerns, and I think with the first and the second, for a lot of people too, with the welfare and assistance, I think they have also had some issues. So thank you for bringing it up, and I do hope that there will be some sort of speedy rectification to your issues there. We have another call on hold. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Trisha. How are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm not too bad, not too bad. I'd like to say something to solutions out there, right? The government in power just came in, so we have to understand they need time to figure out like what they're going to do, because they found the country in a mess, and they have a lot of legal cases to handle before they can really start putting things in place.
But I also don't want us to start off, caller, on having excuses for the new administration, because we already know, yes, you have to at least be understanding, but to say like give them some time or whatever, I understand to give them some time, but not too much, and it should not be some sort of crutch.
You see, I'm not making excuses for them, but we have to face reality. We have to face like we saw what the previous government did, and we understand like the destruction that have been done. So they have to like maybe quickly, but I know things take time to like get up and running. So we have to like be a little patient, let them like try to figure out like what they're doing. And the next thing I want to say, I want to see some lawyers and some people in power fight for people that work in the middle class, the lower class. We have to like fight for them, because we have like businesses in St. Lucia taking advantage over people in the country. So we need like the people to stand up for our people, our small people that don't have a voice, to like represent them in the right way, because it's unfair to see like you working hard and yet still you barely see like the light in front of you. So you see what I'm saying? Like people have to like like when you hear like Champagne speaking and like Robert, like this guy speaking gibberish. To me, I wonder where they get Robert. If it's at SNS or being a dumpster sometimes, because when he speaks, I just like do get this guy. But I just want like the Labour Party, like they say, put the people first and fight for them. Give them like bring back the step, the nice program, help them out and things. So thank you very much. But that was my contribution.
Thank you very much, Cole. I appreciate it. And with Norbert and people like that, I don't think Norbert is a complete idiot. I think it's worse. I don't think he's an idiot at all. He has to dumb himself down and has to do things to make himself feel comfortable with what he's doing. The champagne, yeah, that man don't know what he's talking about. So they just doing what they have to do, trying to put some money in their pocket, trying to survive. That's what they're doing. But yeah, that's what it is. And when you speak of, making sure that the government does a good work and a good job, they're placing the real respect and attention on the experts. But let's not forget that the SLMDA in the past administration, they didn't stand for anything. They didn't come out to say anything. Anytime they even sounded like they were making sense, it was a leaked document. They didn't tell us anything. And in the end, they always just, they just laid down. They didn't stand up for anything. They didn't, at least on the basis of healthcare, really stand up to Shasney, who had his own agenda clearly. They just had to, go ahead and toe the line. So when you have a new administration coming in, you have to, it's a very justifiable question to ask, with what obtains now, what can you expect then from people who would have just let it go by and, to let Shasney do what he wanted to do? Let's take the call. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Trisha.
Hi.
Right, hi. First time caller to your show.
Oh,
and
thanks.
I'm happy to call in today. But I was very impressed with this young. She sounded like maybe a cool individual, someone still going to school. When about the education system and revamping it and so forth. You hear me okay, Trisha?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Go ahead.
Fine. I think that the Prime Minister did a very good choice there with Sean Edwards. I'm looking forward in seeing him doing something really new with this education system. I hope that he and his government has the strength to do it, because the last term there, disaster, handled by this Ministry of Education, along with the principals, school principals, was a total disaster in the handle it, coming out of a whole year of lockdown, children being at home, So I believe that the minister has a job on his hand there to sit down with all the technocrats and do something which is in keeping with the whole St. Lucia environment, and what we have, the disadvantages and the advantages we have facing us in this country, the resources we have and what we don't have. You hear a lot of people, especially the school principals, talking about the New Zealand system, the Finland system. If we could talk about it, let's copy what is good about it and bring it in. What we could bring in, what the resources that we have, and we could tailor it to suit our environment here. But it was unfair to treat our students the way that they were treated last term there, in the way they rushed through the term. You know, it was totally unfair. You know, and it exposed a lot of the children that are come out of homes of the environment where they are not privileged to have certain resources. They were totally at a disadvantage. You know, and I expect that the new minister will look at this very, very closely and look at the whole conduct of those school principals, you know, in a very, very detailed way. He needs to do that. And secondly, you there, Tresha?
Yes, I'm there. I'm listening to you.
And secondly,
very, very attentively.
I believe that it was a big thing. It was a big thing with what happened at that press conference. It was a big thing. And we not, you know, your first impression is very deep. It goes a long way. And this was where I think St. Lucia was looking for that the first one which should really impact upon them. And I think it was very unfortunate that this went down like that. Now, I'm sent off the road. I'm not left, I'm not right, I'm not red, I'm not yellow. I'm seeing it, and I've always talked about it, those who know me, as I see it. I'm agreeing with the Prime Minister on what he's trying to do to be there with people and to let them use their own judgment and to see what they could do, how they should, in keeping with the protocols and stuff like that, and not let a police or some master on their backs. I agree with that. It may work, it may not work. And let's be honest about that. It may work, it may not work. Okay? But I'm agreeing with it. Just as some people may agree with the other side, which is you go with the force. That too may work and may not work too. Okay? So both sides have its advantages and disadvantages. Both could work and not work.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that they ask you about the science. What is the science? Simple. You don't need to have a doctor by you. The science shows that in groups, the thing spreads more. You have gatherings, it spreads more. Simple as that. Okay? So we're trying to keep those gatherings out. We're trying to break it up. Along the Jeremy Street area, we're trying to break it up. We don't want it existing. We'll position the police there, and we will make sure they don't come with force, but with persuasion. And it could happen. It may work, it may not work.
It may work, it may not work.
Sort of thing. So I'm saying that you didn't need a doctor by you or some expert by you to tell you, okay, that's what the science is. And she asked you a question, just give her that one little example. We're trying to break it up. We're trying to break it up. So, okay, if it means that we'll close down at 4 o'clock, well, we're going to do that. Some people will not like it, but it's going up. The figures are going, the numbers are going up, so we have to break it up. And I'm saying, this was not called for.
Yeah.
I think there are intelligent people there. They could have handled the thing much better than that.
Caller, thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay.
I appreciate your contribution, caller. I think we have another call on hold. Thank you very much for your patience. Thank you for holding, caller. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Miss Lionel.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm all right.
Okay. I just want to agree with your two immediate past callers to an extent. The immediate past caller is on point when he spoke about the disadvantaged children who had no access to smart devices. The two last academic years were just absolutely horrendous. Okay, those children who had access to smart devices, their parents were able to afford, they were on the ball and they were able to have done better than those children who did not have access to such devices. And I honestly always have been saying that the 2020 academic year should have been the children in those classes where they should have stayed on, because it was really a short year, and then the last one was even shorter. So I think the children were disadvantaged, and something needs to be done to ensure that these children are kept in check I mean, when you have a child registering a 5 point whatever percentage, in common entrance this year, how is that even possible? We should not have had that. We were not supposed to have that. That's one of the reasons why Dr. Anthony built more secondary schools to enable more students to go to secondary schools to avoid those 5% kind of things. So that's one. Two, regards to the flags being unsightly, I understand the point the caller is making, but when she says that they were unsightly now, she's indicating that they were unsightly during the election campaign. I don't know, I'm assuming here, but I agree the flags need to come down. Election has come and gone. Let's go back to national mood. And three, the social welfare issue is a bit close to my heart. The reason, I'm not making any excuses for them, okay? Yo te ni la han, yo te suppose have un bagay. Because yo jwen la han pou horse race, yo jwen la han pou tout lot bagay. Yo jis jwen la han pou shift ballot boxes $86,000. The reason I speak like this is because I remember there's a parent who went to social transformation, social department, whatever, social welfare department, seeking assistance because she had triplets, and they told her there was no money, there's no way that they were able to assist her at that time. So this is most likely what happened with the young ladies, two family members that nobody could have assisted her. Yo patini la a boyzan sa maka mande gouvernement nef la se fe asiwe yo pompe la an di da departement sa pou se moun nan ki bizwen sa jwen assistance la yo bizwen espresman ti madame la ek toi ti maman toi jimo.
Yeah,
so I understand that is the reason, because it was not about livelihoods back then, but now it's about putting you first. So we're waiting for that to happen.
All right.
And thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good weekend.
You
Yes.
too. Have a good one yourself.
Thanks.
We have another call? All right. Good afternoon. Thank you again for your patience, caller.
Trisha,
Yes?
I doesn't hide myself. So this is Frank, and I'll continue calling. Let me see you kuyu Zoom. We talk show mele.
That's what they call it. You can go yourself way?
What's up? No bow.
Talk to me,
Trisha,
Frank. Yeah.
I find that the government of the day in that press conference went into a panic mood. And the people of St. Lucia were in a panic mood. And I believe that the government itself went into panic and say, we're going to say something. Tell the people that we're on top of it. However, when I woke up this morning, Trisha, I thought it was just a dream. But it was a dream. It is a reality. I thought I was living in an uncivilized world. But boy, I just couldn't understand why follow the science, which the world is talking about, follow the science, should be the talking point of the people of St. Lucia. And it is something that the Republican Party have been using in America to try to diffuse the science and saying, we're not taking the vaccine, we're not wearing the mask, we're not social distancing, and that's why America is where it is today. The Prime Minister, in the short briefing he had, he spoke about the science, the social distancing, and he gave all the details. However, I found, like the caller, when the question was asked, he was just supposed to repeat the same thing. So some people are quick, but long-term bluffer, like a Quenad, he is the consciousness, he is the would just catch it by flow. I just voyage lemon. Pip is not like that. He's a more calculated person. So he probably got a blocked memory there and could not respond right away. The same thing that he said, or probably didn't want to repeat himself. However, I'm saying to people, Trisha, Mopapa Islands Call, Mopapa SSU Mali, Street Smart University. If you do a long division with the number 10 and you do a short division with the number 10, you get the same answer, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So, if Shasne is saying use the hard stick and COVID wardens and this and that and the other to get the results, Philip JP is saying we're not going down that route. Let us use what the science says to use COVID wardens and arrest and this and that. But eventually, in all congregation and in all people, sets of people, you find hooligans, you find those that are not cooperative.
Mm-hmm.
You may have to use the long stick at some point. And immediately, Trisha, it didn't take hours. No science line. So I swear, when point de bonnet.
Cise.
Après demain, when point de bonnet. Science line. Because no bagatan. And we must not fall. It is all the politics of this thing, you know. Don't believe that don't have politics in it. That is clever politics, you know. This is the same science that the UWP were talking about, you know. And now they don't even want. They're showing the people that they're so confused about what is the science. The science, let me repeat, my press won't go with me. The science is wear a mask, follow social distance, no mass crowd events, build your immune system, vaccinate. Because comme là, mon passe pour un dida, non m'ga travail take a little break out of work.
Okay.
So I need to do that. So I'm urging people to get vaccinated, follow the science, take the mask, social distance, and do what is right.
Thank you very much, caller. Always a pleasure. Always a different contribution. I appreciate that. But for me, when you're talking about science, it's more than just what we're hearing. And when we had the CMO giving the lotto numbers and all of that, there are other things like different indicators. What's the R rate? What exactly do we need if we have to go into some sort of rigid shutdown, if that even has to be? You know, these sort of different indicators, more than just what we're hearing, real statistics, data that will, you know, lead people, policymakers into knowing what they're doing. And I also think too that I feel the fear within the country, and I think we will see some sort of uptake with the vaccinations. People will be going out for their vaccines. I think from what I've been told directly myself, I think people are going to go out there and get vaccinated. So I'm looking forward to that. If I'm wrong, and I do, but that's where my mind is at. I think we have our call. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon, Tresha.
Hi.
I think there's something happening at the passport office, which I think is corruption. You go there to renew your passport. You have your old passport with all your documents and everything. And after they check out everything, they tell you, you have to go and get a GP to sign it. But the thing is, they tell you which GP to go to, and they tell you how much you have to pay. That, I think, something is wrong there. A friend of mine went there a few days ago, and he had just renewed his passport, everything in order. So you need to get a GP to sign your documents, and you have to pay $15. Immigration officer told her so. So she had to go downstairs. They told her where to go to, and pay her $15. The guy signs it, but then a GP signing something for somebody he doesn't even know. I got to pay $15.
Caller, thank you very much. But I don't know how that process goes. I haven't, which I have to. Thanks for reminding me to go and get that passport stuff done. But I don't know whether there's one person that they need a signature of, or just anybody who's a GP can do that. That does sound. That's not what I know it to be when I did it. Do we have any other calls? I don't think so. I think, though, we have come to the end of the show. But before we do, let's take a look at the new protocols that we are seeing. I think we have that there, the document which lets us know this weekend and for the rest of the days what it's going to look like. No, it will not be fun, but it is necessary. It says here, Cabinet approved the following changes established for the prevention and control of COVID-19, that a curfew be implemented as follows: Monday to Thursday from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. with closure of businesses at 8 p.m. on Fridays, that is today and tomorrow, from 7 p.m. to 4 a.m. with closure of businesses at 6 p.m. So, tout moun, please, Western, depuis 6 et 7, ou pas à l'idor. Sundays from 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. with closure of businesses at 3. So, yeah, you're home by 4. That public sector construction activities will be removed from the list of essential services. Hey, the shade. Oh, remember Fresh Start and all of them. They're building roads while others have to stay inside. They're part of essential services. And I think that is it for the show. I want to thank you guys always very, very much for being with us here and having the conversations, and to the co-hosts, the callers, thank you very much. And I think there are people, especially this young lady who spoke of her concerns with regards to welfare and assistance. And yes, I agree with you too about it not looking nice, if we're going to talk like that, with the different party paraphernalia and the colors all around the country. That needs to come down as well. And yes, the new administration is very new, and some mistakes will be made, and over the course of the next 5 years we will be seeing some as well. But it's a good place to start to learn when these things are done, and I hope to see some improvement on that front. I hope to see that, like I said, and we're all watching and keeping all of them, everyone, Newport, Kila, accountable. So with that, I do hope that you guys have a safe one. Please abide by the protocols. Please, if you are wanting to be vaccinated, I think you can get that information on the Government of St. Lucia website, on their Facebook page. If you want to do that over the weekend or whenever, I think the time is here, Missy. Let's just do that so I can free up my Christmas, please. Yeah, and I'll see you, hopefully, Sibodivle, on Monday. But even as we talk about vaccines, there again, we're seeing a lot of the creativity St. Lucians have here, and I'll leave you with that and hope to see you, like I said, on Monday. Take care.
Take the vaccine. Trust the science. Eh? A little bit more boys who got him a vaccine as usual. Oui, mama. I can't stay.